Lift off in 3, 2, 1.
Hi there. I love that smile. Anyways, hi, welcome to the Body Mind Index. I'm your host, Jerry Pujals, and I sit here with my wife, Susan, of
35 years.
Is it 35?
35.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been together, that
Jesus.
long.
Yeah, I'm just questioning it because we were married. Yeah, it's 35. We were married in 88. And next April will be 36. Oh man, that's intense. That right there is intense. So thank you for doing this. I know I'm throwing this at you impromptu, and you're probably wondering what I want to talk about.
Well, that and this week of all weeks is kind of interesting because our daughter's getting married on Sunday. Lots of details.
Yeah, you are working on all those details. And I know I thanked you this morning. I'll thank you again for handling that, taking it head on and making it seem like it just came together, because for me it seems to be just coming together. So I thank you for that.
Oh, well, happy to be here.
Happy to do it. Yeah, I think if there's somebody that's going to be relieved on Monday when you wake up, it's going to be you.
Oh,
you're going to be like,
yeah.
It's been a year in the making, about a year, right?
Yeah.
You've been working on this for about a year.
Working on it for about a year. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So what I wanted to talk about today was my need to disappear into the woods ever so often, and what it does to you as a question. So my question is, what does it do to you when, ever since we got married, there's always a time where I sort of need to just go, and that just go shows itself in different ways.
Sure. So I can answer that pretty easily. So when our kids were younger, it was harder because raising 4 kids, and then you have your person that needs space to go into the woods, to be with nature, or to even, I'll say, the going and visited family in Florida too. That it was harder then, and because it put everything on me. But I think that our kids are grown and gone now. We have grandkids. It's a different situation now of going into the woods and taking that mental solace that sometimes people need. And I think that because you run at such a high speed in your head, we used to joke, we used to say, like, how's the committee today? Right? Is there a lot going on today? That was my check-in, because maybe I had things that I needed to talk to you about. But if the committee had a lot of meetings up there, that maybe it wasn't the right time to talk about some of the things that maybe we needed to talk about, and so we could just table it for a while. But I think now it's different, right? It's different because, one, I understand this business because I'm in it. My kids are grown now, and I know that this business, I love this business, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
You're talking about the business of real estate.
Of real estate. Right. It's a lot of work. And so I understand why sometimes people, they just need to take a break. And I think they need to take a break from people because it's our business that we're with people 24/7, right? And it's okay to go in the woods sometimes because I think you need that. So now, it's a little easier because I don't have kids. Sometimes I can go into the woods too. Right? And so no, it's not hard on me now, right? It was a little harder then, but not now. Yeah.
So if I were to tell you I wanted to do the PCT, how would that land?
Well, and how long is that?
6 months.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I think I would have a hard time with that.
I
Yeah.
just thought I'd throw it out
Yeah,
there.
I think you'd have a hard time with that.
I would.
And it's funny because
I would.
you know who misses somebody more? It's not me, it's you, that you get super homesick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you could do a 6-month
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that.
trip.
I don't know that I could either.
Yeah, I think that's a super long journey.
Yeah. Yeah, the longest one I ever did was 17 or 18
17
days.
or 18 days. And I remember
Yeah.
you couldn't wait to get back home.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think the thought of it
Yeah.
maybe intrigues you, but
The
I think
thought-
the reality of it,
Yeah.
I think the thought of it probably intrigues a lot of people,
Yeah.
but I think the reality of it is maybe not super realistic. Yeah.
Would you do a long trip with me? None of this is premeditated.
No,
by the way.
no. I think I probably would, but I think it depends on where we were going and when we were going to do it. Yeah. I think that it's probably more important to take more breaks in our lives now that we don't have kids at home, and we do have grandkids, but the real long journey, I think I might struggle with that, being like away from family and grandkids. For me, I think you probably would too. Yeah. But I think it depends on what that long journey or that long trip was. Where were we going and how long we were really going to be gone?
Yeah, I don't know that the ones that call at me, for some reason, the PCT calls, but only because I've done small pieces of that. Do I know I have an idea how hard it can be, especially in the winter season, or coming like now, coming off of big snowfalls, and it's quite treacherous. El Camino in Spain, the thought of that, and because there has been a movie made on it and things like that, it's from what I gather, it's more of a flat terrain, town to town, so you can stay.
Is this your favorite thing that happens?
Oh man, I love when there's an alarm going off. It's just my favorite.
The sound.
My favorite. I like the idea of, I love adventures, and I love to get out, and I love what it feels. I think maybe what I love the most is how it feels to come back from them. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably, and I've never done a big adventure with you outside of staying in resorts or hotels and things like that. I don't consider those adventures. I don't know if you remember what we did the most of when we went to Belize for our 25th wedding anniversary. We stayed at a 5-star resort, but I spend most of my time hanging around with the construction workers and the women that would cook for the construction workers, because I found that a lot more exciting than eating at the restaurant in the resort or hanging around with the people in the resort. I like the reality of living life outside of the resort than
the grit.
I like the grit.
The
a lot
grit and
more.
communing with people. We both did a lot of that.
We did.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
a great time doing
Yeah.
that.
Same in Peru. Even though we stayed in a hotel, we still did a lot of adventures. We still did Machu Picchu. We still put ourselves in the community and did a lot of things, mostly because you spoke the language, right? When you're in Peru.
Yeah.
So we were able to do a lot of things that people wouldn't have never experienced while we were there. So that was a really cool trip. I loved the flexibility of it, I guess would be a good word.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and getting to see all the things that we did get to see, but still, you know, doing a little of what I like to do too, which is relaxing, but then also, you know, going off the grid a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try to, you know, this last excursion, I went with Jerry Jr. That's our youngest son. We went over to the Sierra Nevadas, and we wanted to see it through a different lens. So we actually, on our first night, we stayed in a hostel, and I've never stayed in a hostel before. I'm surprised to say, because I'm adventurous enough to appreciate that, but I'm surprised to say that I'm not surprised. I'm happy to say the opportunity presented itself, and Jerry and I were totally open to it, and we stayed in a hostel. We didn't have to share rooms with anybody. The room that actually had 4 beds, the young woman that checked us in said, you know what, we're empty enough. You guys can have that 4-bedroom just for yourselves. And so we had 2 bunk beds in our rooms. It was somewhat gritty, but clean and nice and very homey. And then everybody that was there seemed more real to me than anything that I've experienced by staying at a high-end hotel or something like that. It just felt so good. And then we got to cook in this communal kitchen. Just we're cooking for ourselves, not for them. But we got to use their pots and pans. We went to the grocery store, we cooked, and we actually ate food that was so much better than we could have put in our bodies by just conceding to what a chef makes you at a restaurant that's full of salt, oil, sugar, and things that we shouldn't necessarily be putting in our bodies or we don't benefit from. We benefit from the taste bud side because it's very tasty and very dopamine inducing, because, you know, that whole thing, right? But now that this will be the month that I've been off of salt, oil, sugar, caffeine, and alcohol, and meat, it'll be a year. It'll be a year here pretty quick this month, I think, the end of this month. I don't crave those type of meals, that type of food, and because I don't crave it, I just rather cook, you know, for us and just put something in our bodies that is a lot more nourishing. So I'm just curious as to, not to put you on the spot or anything, you take all the time you need to think about it, but I'm just curious as to, would you be more willing to, you know, I'd love to go back to Peru, but honestly, I don't want to go back and stay at that resort. Even though it was gorgeous, and boy, we've never been treated like that at any resort ever. What those hotel managers did for us in the way of bringing a chef out to their own private farm and cook for us from ingredients that were just harvested from that farm.
Farm to table.
I've never experienced anything like that.
That was really cool. And that was random.
Yeah,
that was random.
That was just them out of their generosity.
And because you spoke the language, and you know, we were there for a while, and we got to know people, and on a different level. Yeah. So it was super special.
It was super special. But you know, it's funny. Like, we've made friends in Peru that were that are still friends on my social media. They still check in and all this and that, and I know we can find somebody's house to stay in Peru that you would feel safe. Some of these houses might not have a floor made out of cement. Some of these houses have floors made out of dirt, and people sweep the dirt, and it's the cleanest home you've ever seen because Their dirt is super packed and super clean, and it's something that you can't explain to people. People would have to see what I'm talking about to know what it is that I'm really talking about. But to me, being able to experience a moment in time with people like that would be like super special, like the most special. And it would be outside of our comfort zone, and I think it would give us a different perspective because we've had our challenges in 35 years of being married and raising 4 kids and now into grandkids. We think we've seen something and we haven't seen anything really, right? So that's kind of what I'm sort of talking about and curious as to how that hits you.
I think I might have to process all of that for a while just to give you an shoot from the hip answer. I think it's going to really depend on when, where, and where we are in our lives, what's going on with family, how long is the trip. I could probably safely say I don't think that I would want to do that for a 6-month period.
Oh no, I don't know.
I'd miss my family way too much.
I wasn't thinking of anything.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't. No, just so
Are you thinking like a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I can think of a close young friend of mine that now has started a family of his own, and he's been trying to reach out to me, and I haven't been able to because how
Chris?
busy we've been. Yeah, I love to talk to Chris and say, hey, Chris, can we go visit you? Do you have a place we can stay? And then we can do some pretty cool things with them and just maybe in our own way treat them to things that maybe they can't do.
Well, kind of like we did the last time that we were there.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that. We visited like different like families and communities and talked about different things that we might be able to help with.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be open to something like that next year?
Yeah. I think I probably would. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. When you say 6 months,
No, I mean, to me, would it be cool if we went for a month? I mean, that'd be insane. I mean, to me, that'd be out of your comfort zone because, the only place you've ever stayed at for a month has been
Maui,
a 5-star resort in Maui.
Maui.
That, and to me, really?
I know. I think it's reminding me I have an appointment. Sorry. And let me make sure that I turn it off or it's going to keep doing it. Okay.
So
breathe.
TMI. It's awesome.
TMI.
Wow. When that second one came up, Irisham just looked up and Irisham went, oh God. Oh God. Why?
Oh,
Susan.
This is real. Yeah.
This is real.
It's not pre-recorded.
No, this is not planned at all.
At all.
She didn't do it on purpose. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful, and that's one of the many things that I fell in love with, is that you did and do still have that in you. I think what happens to most of us is that we have kids, we have a routine, and we get kind of, I don't want to call it sedentary because you're not sedentary by any means, but we get used to that routine and we just roll with it, and we're comfortable. We're comfortable with that routine, but this time that we have here is so limited, finite, and is so quick. I mean, if we can just look at 35 years that have gone by, and we have kids who are as old as they are, and these things, you and I are intelligent enough to know how quick the next 15, 20, and if we get 30 or 40, those are still going to go by super fast, no matter how long we're blessed to have.
Even faster.
It goes faster.
It's even faster.
It goes faster.
Yeah.
It goes faster.
Yeah.
So I think honoring every moment and being able to spend it doing things that are meaningful. And the one thing that I'm coming to the conclusion of is that in the spirit of holding on loosely, which that keeps coming up for us, right? And the holding on loosely and letting go is the ability to go do things without our immediate family.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah, because I think part of what I instinctively do is just want to hold on and grab on
right.
because you just want to be a part of every one of their moments.
Yeah,
And our kids don't grow by us doing that. Our kids grow by us letting them grow,
right.
and the more we interject and intervene, the more we're just holding on to something that just can't be held.
Hmm, hmm.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Do you think you'd probably do that even more than I do?
I think we have different ways of doing it.
Hmm.
I think I definitely do that a lot.
It's the Papa Bear in you
Oh yeah,
that is
absolutely.
protective and
Absolutely.
fiercely with all the kids, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and wanting to make sure
Yeah.
that you maybe lead by example or
Yeah.
teach them everything. I'm gonna get emotional.
It-
Teach them everything that you possibly can before you go, right? Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Right. That's really all it is. But I just do know that I have to stop doing that. Yeah, and then I have to agree with you. You have a way with not holding on as tight as I do. I hold on
yeah,
too tight.
yeah, yeah. Because sometimes you have to let your kids be and do what they're gonna do, even if they fall down. Uh, and but be there if they say, "Hey, I need help with this or that." And I think as a parent, that's the hardest thing to do is just to, and not that the kids, they're not doing well or whatever, but uh, yeah, it's being there when they need you, but not being there when they don't. And I know that's a really like uh, hard place to understand, And I know a lot of this is coming up too because the kids are, they have their own families. Our daughter's getting married on Sunday, right? And, you know,
Or other kids are remodeling their house.
yes,
They're staying
exactly.
with us. There's
Right.
a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, how do we be there but not stifle or not enable, right? And I think that's every parent's struggle. Yeah, right. Where do you land so that you're not doing too much, but then you're also there for them when they need you, right? Yeah,
And when you say they need you, yeah, that's an interesting term. They need you. I mean,
right. Maybe they need you for advice.
yeah,
Maybe they need you because we've been parents for almost 40 years, and maybe our kids are going through something with their own teenage kids, right? And so they want to talk or collaborate or right, because I don't think any of us have all the answers to everything. We just don't. And I think it's really your family is really a village when you think about it, and your super close friends are part of that village, because it really does take a village sometimes to get through things, sort through things, good, bad, or indifferent, right? It's that village, and it's who we surround ourselves with. And yeah, sometimes our kids need us even as adults. I can reflect back to a few times where I needed my parents as adults, going through something. And yeah, I needed their help, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah. Whether it was, oh my goodness, I mean, this would be a drastic thing, I'm going through a divorce, right? And yeah, I might need a little extra help. Or I have to work and my babysitter called in sick. I mean, these are just life things that happen. And again, I'm going from really like one swing, to the other of something that was really complicated versus something that was just minute, right? So, and there's stuff in between. How do we be there? How do we be there for them to support them, but also have them grow?
Yeah. I have to imagine that most of that comes from one's ability to listen, because I find myself talking a lot, and that's part of what I do to hold on tightly rather than hold on loosely. I think that I know that one of the things I need to work on is just giving my time to listen rather than giving my time to talk or preach or
fix it. Right, exactly.
Fix it.
Well, I think as a parent, you're always trying to fix things,
Yeah.
right? But now that they're full-grown adults, right, in their 30s, sometimes they don't need you to fix it. They just need you to listen. Yeah. Which I think you're getting like a lot better at that. I think it's a lot of practice. I think it also has to do with how you treat your own body, right? What you're putting in it. You're not all, I'll just say, jacked up on caffeine, because you used to drink a lot of coffee. Yeah. And you're already a high energy person. You don't need it. Yeah. Some people need that cup of coffee to wake up. You don't need that coffee.
It's bizarre, right?
Yeah. You're so much calmer, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, who would have thought? Something you've been telling me for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been saying that for years, but yeah, I just didn't see that as a problem. However, the times that I got off, I would feel so much better, and things would start to get better till one morning I would wake up a little sleepier, and I thought, I gotta have coffee now.
Gotta have coffee.
Then that was a slippery slope.
Yeah,
and just go back.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's part of how you grew up as well, right? Café con leche was a big,
Café con
right?
leche.
I mean, it was even in your bottles, right?
It was in our baby bottles.
Yeah.
With a lot of sugar.
Yeah, caffeine,
And
right?
sugar, caffeine and sugar, two things that affect.
Right.
Well, affect
your
insulin.
Brain. Yeah.
Affect your brain.
Yeah.
You get addicted to it. You just want more.
Yeah.
You get angry, upset if you don't have it.
Yeah. Especially if you're drinking multiple cups a day. Yeah.
Tons of cups a day. In Miami, we would buy that
all day.
We would buy that 8-ounce styrofoam cup, and they would give you the little tiny shots, like 10 little shot paper cups, and you would leave the styrofoam cup on the dash of your car, and that would keep that espresso hot all day, espresso and sugar.
Wow.
And all day you would pour these shots. You take like one every half hour or one every hour, and you keep yourself at this vibration all day.
Yeah.
I never understood why people bought cocaine. Seriously, in Miami, people would, in the 80s, cocaine was a big deal. And I used to think, this is like cocaine, and it's almost free. It was $1.
Wow.
It was $1.10 for this whole thing with 10 shots. That's what it would cost in the 80s to get highly caffeinated and be jacked up all day. But then, there's a lot. I love that you said that, the accepting of what one puts in their mouth and how that could affect so many things of us, physically and emotionally. It's bizarre. And that's been an interesting part of my journey, and hence why this podcast exists and why it's called Body Mind Index, because it's all one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you just made this probably, if not my favorite, my most meaningful podcast to date. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay, Peru, here we come. Stop crying. Bye.